Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. I said channel, and today I'll be reviewing this figure here, Hellboy, which I picked up yesterday. Now it's been an interesting week because I picked up Brandon Routh, it's Superman, Todd McFarlane figure, and like that, a lot more than I thought I would. And I then picked up the Bane Tumbler, also by Todd McFarlane, for £30, a bargain price. And now I've got this guy, which I paid full retail price for at £33, but I'm glad to have him. And that sword he has is off my Wonder Woman figure. And I thought, because it looked quite ancient looking, Hellboy himself is an ancient being, I thought it went well together. Plus, he does use a sword in the movies from time to time, and it's demonstrated quite clearly, I'm getting my tongue-tied words today, on that artwork. Yet again, another nice piece of artwork by Todd McFarlane. So it was quite strange to me that I got this guy, because I'd seen him a couple of months back and I did like the look of him, but I never thought I'd get him anytime soon. I already have a Hellboy, and in my opinion it's the best version of the figure at 6 or 7 inches, and it looks like Ron Perlman, who played the character in 2 of the films. But this is not Ron Perlman, although he has a look of Ron Perlman about him. This is the animation version of the comic, Dark Horse Comics, and the animation series. And from what I've seen on the internet, they've done a good job on the look of it and the likeness. The only thing I wished is that I had got the other version instead, in a way, because you get another head sculpt with the long horns, and I always wanted to get that for my Ron Perlman version of Hellboy, but this is good enough for me at this level. I posed him a few times off camera just to find out his strengths and weaknesses, and I would say that coat's a bit flimsy, could have been better. But what I'll do is I'll do another review with him without the coat, and in that time I'll give it a bit of an iron just to soften up the material so it hangs more naturally off the figure. So that's the first pose of Hellboy. And down there are the accessories that came with him, and the pistol which is in his holster. So at the moment he's wearing, for hands, he's got a gesture hand, which can also act like a gripping hand, and then he's got that gripping hand which I call his clubbing hand. But I'm going to change them out and I'll let you know when I do that. So let's get on with it. So I've still left in the hands, haven't changed them yet, just changed the dynamic. Not bad. So I'll change out that gesture hand now, so you can see what that looks like. That's not a bad angle there. So yeah, the coat's a bit fiddly, but it's a bit like a cape on a superhero, a cloth cape. And where that gun is holstered, as you can see, you'll see that in a few minutes, you have to kind of strap it in by pushing that strap thing into a small hole, and that can be quite fiddly. If you understand what I've just said there, then you're doing better than me. But anyway, let's change out the hand. So this is an interesting one, and on that fist you'll see that kind of white effect, and couldn't really tell you what it was about. And then I was watching Hellboy last night because I got inspired when I bought the figure, and I saw one of the characters in the second film, Hellboy in the Golden Army. He had the ability to take plasma or ghostly energy out of his body and put it into dead things. So I'm assuming that's what that is. I think that must be a ring underneath, and that's what it's doing. But other than that, I couldn't call that the truth. That's just my educated guess. So let's go on with the next one. If he stays up, I'll be surprised, because I'll go straight down there, try to demonstrate knee, ankle and toe articulation, but it's kind of very overbalanced. But that's him with a fighting fist in, as you can see. So I'll take him out of this before he topples over. So I've still kept the fighting fist on, opened up the dynamic. The last pose didn't really show off that fist there too much, but there he is. Okay, so I'm gonna take out the fighting fist now and use the pistol, which is situated in that holster, which can be fiddly, as I explained earlier. So let's see him with that gun. So here he is with the gun in his hand. And that's the iconic gun associated with Hellboy. Now in the movie version, where I bought a loose figure of Hellboy, I got a few accessories but not the full complement. And Hellboy does have another firing weapon, bit like a well, it's one of those sort of SWAT team weapons, but I've posed a similar weapon with this figure from my weapons accessory pack, which Todd McFarlane released some years ago, and it looks good, and I might do him with that. Well, when I do that, I might do it with the coat off, because I did Lobo that way. So I just see him without a coat, and possibly posing with a few weapons from the McFarlane's accessory pack. But I put in his fighting fist now. That's the fist that was gripping the sword, just to show you what that's like. So I'll do another one, and then I'll put the sword back in his hand. So I've squared him on, so you can get a better look at the pistol. And that fist there. I'm going to turn him sideways, see if that profile looks better. Yeah, that profile looks better. His head is down. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with him. I think I'll take that jacket off, put an iron on it just to soften up the material so it hangs more naturally off the figure. And at the same time I'm doing that, I'll do another review with him jacketless, I can't even say jacketless, shirtless, or just his torso. And possibly bring in, as I said before, a couple of weapons from my accessory pack. Okay. So here he is, square on again, but this time changed out that hand there to hold the sword, tilted his head up, and I do like those yellow eyes, works well. And the sword moves slightly there, so it looks like a different pose. But yeah, they like that. Let's keep that going. So I like this one. With a strong figure like this, it's a case of just tweaking sometimes, because you don't have to overdo the poses. He's such a solid and strong looking character, like Hulk is. Somebody like that, where you don't have to do much and it still looks good. But I do like that pose, and I'm seriously thinking about whether or not I should hold on to that Wonder Woman sword and use it for his sword, because he does use it in the movies. But I can imagine now if I'd have got the other version of this, where I could have him with the head sculpt with the long horns, or the crown of flames on his head, this actual pose would look really good. But I do like it. I'm very happy with that. And I can't complain. It's been a good week for figures. And, well, I'll tell you about Comic-Con. Excuse me. I'll tell you about Comic-Con, which I attended yesterday, on the next pose. So let's bring that up. I like this pose. Yeah, Comic-Con. So my friend and I went yesterday to a Comic-Con, which we were both looking forward to. And he's a fellow collector. He's more high-end. Check out Ray Ray's collection and subscribe. Yeah, but we went there, and when we got there eventually, wasn't too bad the journey. We were a bit disappointed. It was lacking in so much compared to the London Comic-Con. And I have been to Comic-Cons in the past that are not linked to London that have been really brilliant. So I wasn't expecting to be disappointed, which we both were. There just wasn't enough of things there that we were interested in, and even the things that were there that we wouldn't normally look at. It was just the fact that the whole place seemed quite empty for stores. And there was one guy selling figures, and when I was at the London Comic-Con, there was loads of guys selling figures, but there's only one guy selling figures, and it was McFarlane stuff, and it was like double the price. A lot of them I had anyway, and I wasn't really interested in paying that kind of money. So at the end of the day, we ended up going off to another couple of toy outlets in the area, and I especially found that to be more interesting than the stuff I saw at Comic-Con, except for a couple of people that were walking around in things like Batman costumes, and I saw an Indiana Jones and a Doctor Who. That was kind of the most interesting it got, which was a shame. But I did like hanging out with my mate, and it did get me out of the house. And I appreciate him for buying me a ticket. But yeah, so when the day came and went, I was on my way home. I bumped into another mate. Check out Miggett's collection and subscribe. And then I went on to a record shop that occasionally sells McFarlane figures and Black Series, Star Wars and Marvel Legends. And then I went in there and I saw this guy. And because I saw the review, and I thought, considering Comic-Con wasn't what it was going to be, this was a nice way to end the day. So I'm glad I got him. And I'm going to pose him out one more time and then end the review. Not bad pose. So yeah, overall, good figure, good to pose. They've captured its likeness based on the comic book really well. And I like the fact on camera that this sword looks okay. So I'll finish with one more. So you've seen all the accessories, the gesture hand, the kind of photoplasm or ghostly energy hand, the fighting fist of the clubber hand, a gesture hand, and the trigger hand in which he's holding the weapon. Some people said they would have liked him to come with a cigar prop, so you could put that in, but I like him as he is. He's simple. Of course, it'd be nice to have got the version where you could get the long horns head sculpt, but this is a good figure, and I'll probably review him in a couple of days without the jacket on. But let's get one last pose in. Sorry about this. Excuse me, clear my voice. Right, sorry about this. I was getting ready for his last pose and I just accidentally came onto this one. So I thought it's a side profile pose and I like the way it looks. It's coming close. Yeah, so that there looks quite good as a side profile. But let's get him to his last pose now, because we're getting up past 15 minutes. But that's the fun of it. When you're into something, time does go quite quickly. So let's do the last one. Still staying in the side profile pose. I had to get this in as well. But that sword, the way I've posed it, is an indication of how the last pose is going to be. I like that. And well done to Todd McFarlane for doing that. He's getting a bit more elaborate with his foot bases. But I don't mind the simple early ones, but it's nice to see that Hellboy written like that. Okay, let's get that last pose in. So this is your last one then, folks. Square on. His side arm is down to the side of his body. His weapon, the sword, is pointing downwards. Kind of a pose where he comes into a situation and just before all hell, pardon the pun, breaks loose, he's standing there contemplating his next move. So that completes this review, folks. I've enjoyed getting this guy. He came at the right time, at the end of the Comic Con day that we had out, me and my mate. Check out Ray Ray's collection and subscribe. And it was nice to end the day with this figure. And just getting some angle shots. Love those yellow eyes, as I said before. And I can imagine now, every time I've posed this figure with him having the long horns on, and I know it would look good. Maybe there might be a loose head sculpt floating around on the internet that fits this body, and I can use that on future reviews. But I will say, my Ron Perlman one, which I've reviewed on the channel, I really do like it for its overall look, but it lacks accessories. But this guy came with enough accessories as far as I'm concerned, and that sword is about the only thing I'm going to use apart from the gun. So I'm not going to be looking to go mad with him. He's simple to pose and he looks good. So on that note, I'll be coming back probably in a few days, few weeks, reviewing him again without the jacket and possibly posing with a few weapons from my McFarlane's accessory pack. Until then, I'll say thanks for watching and I'll see you again next time.